Alrighty, you guys should be able to see this. So today's training overview. So why you struggled to stay consistent, as it's not just about discipline. You're going to discover the real reasons behind what creates inconsistency and the challenges that are preventing you from establishing long-lasting habits, and how to create just honestly an identity that's not sabotaging you and how to shift it and learn how your self-perception actually affects your actions and how you show up every single day. The four-part blueprint that keeps our clients on track even during life's hardest times, a comprehensive system for lasting change. And the real life story of our client Rosie, a mom of three, business owner, and total has a total body transformation throughout all the chaos, and see how our approach actually works in real life situations and not just me spewing a bunch of random information at you. So yeah, let's go into our consistency blueprint on how to stay on track during these storms of life. And make sure that you stay until the end because I'll be giving you a freebie, the Summer Body at-home blueprint, your plug-and-play tools to crush your summer body goals this year. And if you're live, I'd love for you to type live in the chat and even just where you're from, because I know we have people from the US, other areas of Canada, people even locally here in Whitehorse. Or if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay because I'd love to know if you watched it because then I can send over the summer body at home blueprint to you as well too. And I do check all the comments and interact, so don't hold back. This is a two-way space, so if you have any questions, you have anything that you want to dive into, I will be going into there answering any kind of questions that you guys have. So the identity and environment design. So creating automatic consistency, so habits that follow identity, an engineered environment, so having reminders, reduced friction, visible wins, and identity rewiring. So from trying to be fit to I am someone who shows up. I'm the type of person that doesn't skip a workout. I'm the type of person that never misses twice. Like if I miss a workout, I'm right back on it the next day. And you don't need more motivation. You need an identity upgrade. You need to kill off a little bit of that old version of yourself so you can make room for that new version of yourself. And if you think I'm consistent, every missed workout becomes evidence of you being that person. It's like every single time I've seen somebody tell me that they're not a morning person, even though that they know mornings are when they're going to be the most consistent with their workouts, they'll stay up super late, they leave their TV on, they're like drinking coffee after 5 p.m., making it super difficult to fall asleep, and they're doing a bunch of things that are just keeping them up, making it really difficult to actually get to bed on time. Or they have their alarm clock right beside them, so they're just pressing snooze and falling back asleep and getting up and like frantically getting their ass up to work where they're starting their day off not in the greatest way. So that's showing them that they're not a morning person. So they start to create this narrative where it creates more and more resistance, preventing them from being able to show up and create that consistency and do what they ideally would want to. And your behaviors will always align with your subconscious identity. And we're going to help you rewire identity from I'm trying to be fit to I am someone who shows up. Also, just engineer your environment, like set up reminders, remove friction, create visibility for wins. And why this matters is because habits follow identity. Once you believe it's who you are, consistency becomes automatic. So we're going to dive into some of the different things around the environmental design and identity. So first of all, I would definitely first of all focus on creating systems. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall down to the level of your systems. And what I mean by that. So, for example, Mel Robbins, she actually was on a podcast not too long ago. I remember seeing this and distinctively remembering this, being like, "Oh man, this is every people pleaser, overextender, busy mom, busy dad. This is the typical system that they have in place." Because she was basically saying that there's good systems, there's bad systems, and she's like an example of a bad system is waking up with barely enough time for yourself in the morning where you're just reacting and just hopping right into like helping the kids, frantically trying to get your shit together, having a cup of coffee, not drinking any water, not eating anything, living off of coffee and like allowing that to be your energy source for the day. And like by the time you realize you've had nothing to eat, you're still like overextending yourself and showing up for everybody else. And maybe you have like a muffin or like something that's maybe more convenient that usually causes you to crash, having like no energy by the time that you get home. And then you just don't even really want to do anything outside of work. And you're usually just ravenous by the time that you get home, or so you're eating everything and anything that is within your vicinity. Whereas like a good system, for example, where you're gonna remove the resistance, the friction to make it easier to stay on track. Because the thing is, we go with the path of least resistance as humans. It is just human nature to turn to comfort and go back into old habits and just go with the path of least resistance. So if you are making the healthier option, the option that the path that you want to go down with less resistance, you're going to be a lot more likely to take action on it. Like let's just say the morning routine, for example. So laying your workout clothes out the night before, setting the intention of like, I'm gonna get this workout in tomorrow, and making sure that you have enough time to be able to just gather yourself, maybe have a quick shower, have like a little bit of time for yourself, maybe make sure that your alarm clock is across the room so it forces you to get out of bed so you can go turn the alarm clock off, and you have maybe like a dedicated workout space. Like that's also where the environment piece comes in. Because I've seen so many people, especially like with this being like a group for parents and moms and dads, it's one of those things where if you're just trying to do a workout in the middle of your living room where you can see the dishes and the laundry and like all these things that are distractions, you have your kids and your kids' toys and like your dogs and your cats all over the place. It's going to trigger other habits. It's one of those things where like we are very visual based, visual cue creatures. When you see something, it triggers a habit. You see dirty dishes, you want to clean the dishes. You see the laundry, you want to do the laundry. You see the TV in the living room, it's distracting. You probably want to watch TV and like you're not even able to really focus on that workout. Whereas if I've had clients where they get like a dedicated workout space. Whether if it's like a spare bedroom, they like clear out their basement a little bit, even if they can't put it into like a whole dedicated room, they cut off half the room with like a curtain and they have like some motivational posters, a yoga mat, and like maybe their resistance bands or like whatever they have for workouts, so they have a dedicated space for it. It's kind of like if you have like a bunch of distractions and like a bunch of garbage and a bunch of stuff in your office, you're not really able to focus. You're not able to actually focus on what you need to be doing because there's just so much stuff all over the place. Whereas if you have a nice, clean, productive, organized space, your productivity automatically goes up. You're automatically more focused and able to take more action. So it's kind of the same thing of like making sure you have your environment in place. This also comes down to your nutrition as well, or like having a system in place, not just flying by the seat of your pants going into the week, prioritizing your kids, prioritizing work, prioritizing everybody else, and then just hoping stuff's gonna work out. That's like shooting in the dark or throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping it's gonna stick, which isn't going to be a reliable, sustainable solution. You want it to be predictable and you want it to be sustainable and something that's going to help you show up even when things get crazy. Even when something out of the blue randomly shows up, you're a lot more likely to show up for it. Like, for example, even if you're meal prepping, some people will meal prep and they make it super, super complicated where it like creates almost more resistance because it's like, yeah, it sounds really good on paper to have all these fancy, tasty looking meals. But after like a super long, exhausting day, you're probably not like, you're probably not going to want to prep all of that ahead of time. So like when it comes to time to doing it on the day of, and you're having a really long day, it's emotionally exhausting. You're like maybe your boss is a dick to you, maybe like you're dealing with some personal life stuff. You're likely not going to want to do it. So making sure your meal prep is definitely done ahead of time, but also making it simple, making it easy. Because one of my favorite sayings is boring builds bodies. That doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be boring. It needs to be foods that you hate to have, but something that's simple, where it doesn't require a whole lot of ingredients, doesn't take a whole lot of cooking or willpower. Like I personally hate cooking, so I just try and make it as easy as possible. Where I'll cook one or two proteins in bulk and get the entire thing ready, like cook an entire thing of lean ground beef or moose or chicken, and then I'll find other recipes that are aligned with that same ingredient, like ground beef, for example, tacos, or like having like a taco bowl, or having just honestly some beef and rice, or even just like some beef and potatoes, and just like changing it up a little bit every single day. So like it still has a little bit of a like it changes it up and keeps like a little bit of variety, and then maybe I'll change up the protein the following week, or I'll also have chicken available, so I can have like chicken wraps or a Caesar salad or whatever it is. And it's not that much that I have to cook. Maybe it takes me 30 minutes to cook that entire thing. And then I'll have like some carbs readily available. Maybe just get like an entire thing of rice. Make sure I have some veggies, some fruit at the front of my fridge in like clear containers. So as soon as I open up my fridge, they're good to go. And making sure that I'm not keeping my like the process, not super great options for weight loss in a very visible, easy to reach place where I put them in like cupboards that I have to get a step ladder to go and grab it, or it's in a cupboard that I never look in. And I get my girlfriend to hide it from me, for example. And Also getting things that are high in protein, things that are high in satiety that fill you up a lot but have less calories that don't require cooking. Getting like smart popcorn, which has little to no calories, full of fiber. It's going to fill you up a lot, have a lot of volume, not a whole lot of calories. Get like Greek yogurt and like frozen berries because the frozen berries are going to last a really long time and actually preserve a lot more of the micronutrients. And you can just put that with some Greek yogurt. It's like almost like it's like ice cream. Put like a little bit of Splenda onto it, even like maybe have some cottage cheese, have some beef jerky. Just finding things that are readily available that don't actually require a whole lot of cooking, because I barely cook during the week. But also just making sure that you're creating a better narrative of what as well too. Not saying that I'm not a morning person or I'm going to try to do that. Having some conviction in the words that you're saying. You're very aligned with the actions of what you say. It's like, oh, I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to hopefully I can do that. If you go into it with that mindset, you're automatically giving yourself a way out. Where it's like, oh, I'm going to try to do that. Hopefully I can get that done later. You're automatically going to give yourself a way out where you're going to go with that path of least resistance. Or another identity shift. Like if you're constantly like, oh, it didn't work in the past, so it's not going to work for me now. You're going to find ways for it not to work, where you're going to skip a workout. You're going to justify like not staying on track during the weekend because you're like, what's the point of me even staying on track? Because I'm just going to fail anyways. And you're just going to eat like shit. You're just going to go have things that probably aren't the best for you, that are really heavy in calories, or being a lot more susceptible to like going out for drinks or going out for food because you have in the back of your mind of like, oh, it's just a matter of time until I fall off track. You start changing that narrative and celebrating wins, giving yourself grace, giving yourself credit for those small wins that you're getting. And we're going to dive a little bit further into this, but just remember that like your habits and your actions are evidence of that identity of that person that you're trying to become. Because if you're just trying to willpower your way through instead of shifting your identity, it's going to make it really difficult to create long-lasting, effective change. Alrighty. So the flexible nutrition anti-perfection plan. So making sure you have flexible frameworks. Wait, did I? Whoops. Oh yeah, before we dive into that, making sure you have like a schedule, like scheduling non-negotiable appointments like a doctor's appointment. Like I'm sure you have stuff for like bringing your kids to soccer, having to like maybe you already have grocery shopping in there, but making sure you actually have time to plan your nutrition ahead of time, making sure you have time knowing what time, what place you're going to be doing your workouts. When you have more clarity going into your week, like that's actually something I really do like to touch on is having clarity going into your week. Because if you just go into your week, oh, I'm going to try to get 3 workouts in this week. You don't know when, you don't know how you're going to get your workouts, you don't know where you're going to get your workouts in. It's like, oh, I could do it at home or I could do it at the gym. It's like you need to know what time, what place exactly we're going to be doing it and having it as an appointment for yourself as a non-negotiable. And shifting the narrative around that as well too, where it's going to help you have better mental health. You're going to feel better. You're going to be able to get out of your head and get into your body and manage your energy better, where you're just going to feel better and be able to show up stronger for everything else. But also just making sure it's a non-negotiable appointment and setting that boundary. I know as a parent, like people pleasers and overextending, I'm also the same way, where it took me a really long time to understand that that's necessary for me to show up strong for all my priorities, for the things that are really important to me. Making sure you have a schedule or reminders and knowing exactly if you're going to be doing it in the morning, have like a time and a place of exactly where you're going to be doing it. In the book of Atomic Habits from James Clear, that automatically increases the chances of you taking action. All right. Just going on tangents and rants on here. So hopefully you guys are still with me. So the flexible nutrition and anti-perfection plan. So flexible frameworks, adapting to your unpredictable life, real world nutrition, macros, minimums, practical swaps, no more starting over mentality. So, and like freedom from guilt, no more just on track, off track thinking. We need to go less like all or nothing is the reason you keep starting over. Life is unpredictable, kids get sick, work runs late, energy drops. Instead of strict meal plans, we teach flexible frameworks that adapt to your lifestyle. Macros, minimums, like having high protein, high fiber, high volume foods. Like I was mentioning with like Smart Pop, veggies, fruit, high in protein. Like those are going to be all great options. Making sure you're getting enough water in, making sure you're getting enough sleep. And also just like real world swaps. Like if you want to have coffee, and like I'm not going to tell you to cut out coffee. Instead of creamer and sugar, have some unsweetened almond milk that has like 5 calories versus like 90 calories. And then you put like a bit of Splenda and some cinnamon. I drink that every single day and it tastes just as good as what a coffee full of cream and sugar would have tasted like before. And you'll also start to learn to stop starting over and start just adjusting with grace. And no more guilt after a cookie, no more on track, off track thinking, just flow. So I cannot stress this enough. Do not have the all or nothing mentality, because if you go into it where I can actually probably paint an exact picture of what a lot of people, a lot of parents, a lot of people that have that all or nothing mentality run into. Where, for example, I had a client, Justin, where he would get like a solid 3 4 weeks in sometimes. Like he'd be crushing everything, it's going well, he's like eating healthy food, he's feeling energized, he's crushing his workouts. I'm sure we've all been at that point. It's like, heck yeah, everything's going really well, and everything was lining up, everything was perfect. Like it was just like everything was just congruent with what he wanted. But then shit got in the way. Like he was having some personal life stuff that was happening. You have to go outside of town for like a service job or something along those lines. And it would make it really difficult to be able to sustain that standard. Because the thing is, we would get to a point of like, oh, this is awesome, everything's great. And then anything below that, subconsciously, we feel like we're half-assing it. We feel like we're not doing enough. So anything below that, where it's like we just will start to justify it, being like, I'm gonna get back on it tomorrow so I can bring my all. Or, I'm going to start back on it next on Monday because I'm going to be able to show up 100%. I'm going to be able to get that full workout in, which then the habit starts becoming justifying and pushing it off and delaying it. Instead, what we did with Justin, instead of just trying to show up strong all the time, because that's going to cause you to lose trust with yourself if you just continue to push it off and try and show up at 100% all the time, because that's not realistic. If you're at 50% capacity because you're really overwhelmed and there's a lot of stuff going on, you need to bring your standards down to meet your capacity. So instead of doing 4 workouts a week at like 45 minutes, maybe do 4 workouts a week at 5 minutes or 10 minutes, just to build that habit. From the book of Atomic Habits, he says there's basically the 2 minute rule where you can break any habit down into 2 minute increments. Like, you don't brush your teeth for 30 minutes to do it on a consistent basis, you do it for 2 or 3 minutes. If you do the exact same thing where you just go to the gym, hop on the treadmill for a couple of minutes, and then you leave, that's a win. You do some body weight squats for a couple of minutes at home and do some push-ups, that's a win. That's a step in the right direction. That's going to be one step closer to you building a habit and building a routine, and honestly just building trust and confidence with yourself. When you can focus more on habits and systems and consistency, that's going to create so much more long-lasting change than you trying to show up strong all the time and like not giving yourself grace and being super tough on yourself, because you're not going to create lasting change that way. So making sure you're keeping that in mind when you're approaching this, where like if you know that there's a crazy weekend where there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on, you're like, I'm gonna get my workouts in, or I'm gonna hit my nutrition like 100%. It's like, no. Maybe if you just prioritize protein and drink enough water instead of just not doing anything at all, that's a step in the right direction. Like, it's progress over perfection. And making sure you're putting it into practice and you're celebrating those wins. You're celebrating you doing those small steps. If you do a 5 minute workout and you're like, man, that was nothing, or I could have done more, you're creating this connection to you showing up as a bad thing. You're going to look at it as like you're not doing great and like this bad outcome where it's going to make you not want to do it next time. You need to celebrate it, verbalize it, and be like, man, I'm so proud of myself for showing up. Even though it wasn't perfect, I showed up. I had a client, her name's Sophie. She's down like 70 pounds now. She's crushing it. It's in completely part of her lifestyle at this point. And there was a point in her journey where she'd work out once a week, 3 times a week, 0 times, five times. And that's exactly what would happen. And then when she started on those off days, those difficult days, she would still maintain that momentum because she would still go to the gym and she'd hop on the treadmill for a couple of minutes and leave. I remember actually distinctively watching her leave the gym. And she's like, yeah, I can't do this today. I showed up though. And that actually allowed her to create so much more effective habits where she's gotten to the point that she's at today, where she's going into a muscle building phase to build out a physique that she's happy with because she finished her fat loss phase. And she actually looks forward to her workouts. So just want to throw that out there before we go into the next section. All right, let's get it. Adaptable workouts. So doing a 10-minute workout, like I was mentioning, doing like 20-minute like focus builders, doing like a full workout when time allows. Like, the best workout is the one that fits your reality. We like killing the idea you have to do 40 minute or 45 minutes or it doesn't count. Instead, you get a flexible workout menu. Like, that's exactly what we do in our program, is to adapt it, give you multiple options, help you find ways to individualize it for your lifestyle. We don't train for extremes. We train for real life and long-term consistency. And mental rewiring. So like building an inner calm and resilience. So like making sure you're regulating your nervous system, like getting out of fight or flight response and learning to calm your body's stress response, doing some deep breaths, doing a little bit of meditation, going outside for a quick walk just to like get out of your head and get into your body a little bit more. Making sure that you're focusing on developing healthier relationships with your achievements and celebrating them. Celebrate your wins. Focus on gratitude. Focus on the progress that you made over the last 30, 60, 90 days and like how far that you've come. A lot of us will like if you look at the previous version of yourself, they would have been so happy of a lot of the things that you've accomplished up until this point where you actually told yourself that you would have been happy. You would have told yourself that you would have felt good at this point. But it just felt like it's just this empty hole that you're trying to fill that never gets filled. And take it from me, if you don't start celebrating it and looking at it as like and taking a moment to smell the roses, to give yourself credit, give yourself grace, the goalpost is always going to move. It's not like what is the point of going after these goals if you're never happy, if you never actually give yourself the grace? Because that's also going to create self-sabotage. It's going to make you not want to stay on track. You're going to get complacent. You're going to get more frustrated when you feel like, oh, I should have been able to progress more. I should have showed up stronger for that workout. I should have done better with my nutrition. So, I actually, during that last time when I was crazy busy, I didn't do anything for my nutrition, but this next time I actually did 50%. That's a win. That's progress. Like that's a step in the right direction. Give yourself some damn credit. And shifting language, I failed again. I adjusted like a pro. I made a small tweak. I was able to make that step in the right direction. Transform your internal dialogue for better results. And fitness is emotional before it is physical. Our mindset is either our anchor or our excuse. So making sure you're shifting your thoughts, shifting your beliefs is going to make such a huge difference on how you approach, how you show up. Obviously, systems and like your strategy is important, but you even establishing those systems in the first place and being consistent with them, adapting them is so important to make sure that you're shifting your narrative. And you'll learn mental fitness tools that help you stay consistent, compassionate, and calm through the storms and like through the ups and downs. Obviously, I can tell you all these things, but in the midst of things being overwhelming and difficult, it's a lot easier said than done, and I know that. So if you want to like here's Rosie. And by the way, if you take a look at this progress picture, I'm going to take a second for you to guess on how much weight she lost. Most people say 30 or 40 pounds. She only lost 10 pounds. But look how much muscle she gained, and she lost so much body fat in tons of inches, it just didn't reflect on the scale. And that's because we actually show people how to change up composition, not just get that skinny fat look and just lose a bunch of body fat. And when she was initially joining us, she was stuck in survival mode. No time, no energy, constantly starting over, putting her kids ahead of her, putting her business ahead of her. And she thought she was the problem, but she just needed a system that worked for her during those ups and downs. So we implemented that four-part system tailored to her busy life and adapted the framework to help her with her unique challenges. And the result is total transformation. She completely changed up her body composition, found her calm, regained her energy, and ditched perfectionism. She stayed consistent even through the school events, deadlines, illness, burnout, and she wasn't perfect, that's for sure, but she saw amazing results because of the mentality shifts and the four-step consistency blueprint. Oh, whoops. So, making sure you're shifting your identity, making sure your environment supports you isn't hindering you. It's a lot easier to say no to a cookie if it's not in your house or not visible versus it being right on the counter. Or it's a lot easier to do an at-home workout if it's a nice, like clean, solid space or follow your nutrition because it's readily available than trying to like go and cook and get everything ready the day of and making sure you're adapting with nutrition where like you're not trying to be perfect, you're just trying to make incremental increases and do a little bit better, prioritize protein, prioritize fiber, and trying to just make small steps in the right direction. Adapting your workout. Instead of doing the full 45-minute workout, do a 10-minute workout. And making sure you're building inner calm, resilience, trusting the process, giving yourself grace and credit every step of the way. This comprehensive system works together to create lasting change in your life. Each component reinforces the other, creating a powerful framework that keeps you consistent even when life gets chaotic. The beauty of this blueprint is it's designed for real life, not for perfect conditions. It's built to bend without breaking, allowing you to maintain progress through all life's ups and downs. Our clients succeed because they stop trying to force themselves into rigid systems, instead building a system that actually works with their lifestyle. So if you want that summer body at home blueprint, just comment summer and I'll send you that at home blueprint. Minimal equipment needed. Like you can do it actually, there's a lot of body weight stuff in there. There's stuff with bands. We also have some dumbbell workouts, plug and play workouts. So if you want to just put summer below, I'll shoot that over to you. It also has some simple nutrition guidelines as well. It'll actually break down a lot of the stuff that we talked about today, high satiety foods, how to get into a calorie deficit and how to sustain it. And I would love for you to even just in the comments share your biggest aha moment from today. Like drop in the comments. Is it like breaking your workouts down into 10 minutes? Is it having a system that removes the resistance so it's easier to stay on track? Like I would love for you to get clear on exactly what that is for you and claiming that summer body at home blueprint and get a free strategy session. Like if you comment the word blueprint or game plan, either word works. I can send you over a message to set up a free game plan call with you. I've done it with a bunch of the other members in this group as well, where you don't like there's no obligation for you to sign up for anything, and we have a ton of free resources and trainings. And like worst case scenario, you're gonna walk away with a clear game plan on how to be able to crush your goals. We'll go through your obstacles, your struggles, the areas that you're running into, helping you come up with an individualized plan to help you crush your goals. So comment game plan or blueprint. I'll send you a message. We can set up a quick call. Like obviously, I would love to see if we're a good fit to work together. Worst case scenario, you get a free game plan and know exactly how to take action. And one thing that I do want you to really take away from this, don't just try and do everything that I talked about today. Paralysis by analysis and getting overwhelmed and shutting down and not wanting to do anything is a real thing. Implementation is the name of the game. So focus on one or two things. Focus on incremental steps in the right direction, and that's what's going to help you build momentum and build trust and build confidence with yourself. You freaking got this. Let's crush it this year, and I'll talk to you guys soon.